Hey, if you're coming here from Twitter, you probably just want to see the answer and the explanation to the puzzle, so look into the description. There is a link to the exact time in the video where I give the answer. If you're not coming from Twitter, let me explain what is happening here. So time to time, I post on Twitter something called Spring Puzzle, when I post a piece of code and I ask what is the result of executing this code. And I think it's a good idea, maybe if I not only give the, what is the correct answer, but also like give you the explanation, because I think the last puzzle is quite interesting, especially considering that less than 50% of people gave the correct answer. So this is the tweet, this is the code. You can pause the video now and think about it. There are three options here. The possible answers are Larry, Lily, or Lana. And now the question is, when you run it, what is the result? So of course, this application uses Hibernate and JPA, Spring Data JPA. There is nothing special here happening. There is no web dependency. So there is basically, except the pom.xml, there's no other code in this whole application. So when we look at the code, we can see that this is a Spring Boot application and there is just a bean here declared application runner. So this means that this piece of code will run after application context starts. So this uses a person service and it calls create with a name Larry, and this returns a person. So let's go into the person service. We can see that this uses a person repository. The person repository is a Spring Data repository that extends CRUD repository. So again, nothing special here. And person is just a JPA entity that has a generated value for the ID, so that we don't need to assign it. There is a default constructor because JPA requires a default constructor, but we can also use the constructor where we just pass the name, and then there are getters and setters and toString method. So that's pretty straightforward. So what is happening here inside the create method, we create a person with a name, we save it in the repository, then we set the name on the person, and we just return it. Then in the application runner, when this person is returned, we set the name again to Lily. So now let me run it and we will see what will be the result in the database. My database is already running in the Docker container. I can connect from IntelliJ. I will refresh it and go to the table, see the person, and we can see that the result is Lana. So the correct answer is Lana. And I can imagine that this may be a surprise to many people. So let me explain how does it exactly work. The most important thing that you need to remember is that Hibernate is not only an ORM. So it's not only about mapping the database structure to Java classes. Of course, this is a very important part. Like this is mostly what we interact with. So we take the class, we put some annotation. This entity is trivial, so there were not too many of them. But of course, if there are complex entities, we put one-to-many annotations, one-to-one, and so on. So in order to map our Java classes into the database tables. But that's not over. Another important part in Hibernate is the Hibernate session. Every time we interact with Hibernate, whenever we fetch entities, save entities, and so on, this is happening in the scope of session. Session is an interface. We don't really interact with it directly when we use Spring Data JPA, but there is a one-to-one mapping between when the Spring opens a transaction and when the session opens, and the same with closing. So when the transaction is finished, the session gets closed. So what is going on inside the session? Once the entity is managed by Hibernate, then all the changes that happen to it are persisted to the database when the session closes automatically without our interaction. I think it's the best if we run this code through a debugger, so you will see step by step what is happening in the logs, because I added like a bunch of logs here. So let me first clean the screen so that we don't have any noise over here. And the first debug statement is before we entered the transactional method on the person service. So now if I do go to the next step, we can see that we are in the transactional method create and it started the transaction. So we can see that transaction has begun. So we create an entity, we save it, and then we can see that there was a query to the database to get the value for the ID, because we just used the generated ID. And then we set the name. Nothing still is happening, no other interactions with the database. Even no save, right? So now when we exit this method, we can see that transaction is being committed. And then we can see that we inserted the person with a name Larry, the one that was provided over here. But then immediately after, there was an update set to set the name to Lana. Even though we didn't save it again, it was only because this entity is managed, we set it so the session was closed, it persisted all the changes that happened to this entity. And even though we set it later on to Lily, since this is happening outside of the transaction, like where are we now? We are at this line. There is no other interaction with the database, right? So there is nothing happening. And that's the most important thing to remember, that if you have a managed entity by Hibernate and you modify it, it will get persisted, even if you don't call the method save. And now time for a short announcement. Since this is a fundamental knowledge that many people don't know, and to be fair, I also didn't know for quite a while. I used Hibernate without actually knowing how it works. But if you want to be a professional developer, if you want to avoid weird behavior in the production and use the framework effectively, not only Hibernate, but actually Spring and Hibernate, I'm working on a video course, Spring Fundamentals, where I will explain exactly how these things work. So I will go like one level deeper from what you actually use. So you will learn like what all of these Spring annotations mean, how they are processed by Spring, what is the bean life cycle, and so on. The exactly structure of the course is still up to discussion, but I hope that maybe you can help me to shape this course. So go to springacademy.io, you can leave me your email address. When the course is released, there will be definitely a big discount for everyone who is on the list, and especially those who help me to basically make this course happen. And I really hope that it will be a huge value for people who really want to learn, want to understand these kind of things, but I think currently there are just no materials like that. There are just courses that scratch the surface. Okay, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it with your colleagues on Slack, and of course like the video, and I hope to see you in the next one.